Oh my God. This is very painful for me to watch.
Is that so, really?
Oh, you have no idea.
But it's in the film, isn't it?
Against my bitter
I don't know what you're talking about.
I fought so hard to get that out of the movie.
How are you?
So good, Tom. How are you?
It's pretty great to be here. Thank you.
How are you feeling? How you doing?
Oh, great. Yeah, look,
Yeah?
I mean, we're not traveling here like so many of the people you talk to at the festival. Like they're on vacation in a way, but we live here.
Yeah,
so
we're home.
Is it
Yeah.
is it done? I mean, I think I was reading an interview at South by, maybe in Austin, and you were like, we still have more to do. And then I read another interview.
we did. We changed a lot of the film after the South by premiere, and likely we'll change a few things after this screening too. But I will take any opportunity I can to improve something until it gets released by a distributor.
I got so scared watching the movie in a way that, because I'm afraid of heights.
Oh yeah, this would destroy you then. When we're at the very, very, very top of the CN Tower, that's a perspective most people have never even seen.
Well, I sort of had to go into when you go to the very, very top of the needle of the CN Tower, I had to just tell myself, it's not true, it's not real, it didn't happen, it's green screen. And in order for me to be able to get through the day.
It's pretty crazy, eh? And you look at it, because I mean, I look at the CN Tower every single day, and you think that the top is just like a razor sharp pin. Like you think that there's no serviceable surface area whatsoever. But actually...
It's about the size of this table.
No. It's
Maybe
probably half the
smaller.
size of this table. But you can walk around up there. Like it's actually pretty big.
Hold on, did you actually get up there? Can I ask you that? Since you set the table, I mean,
You can ask
I will say what you're
answer
seeing
it.
is that everything of me at the top walking around with Jared, all of that is... I mean, how much do you want me to say? I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to get in trouble, so I can only say so much. But that is what it is exactly like to be at the top of the scene. Like nothing is fake.
No fear in that for you?
Oh, I'm not afraid of heights. I was very afraid of heights when I was a kid. We were really, when we first did the edge walk in the movie, I remember Jay was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be so scary. But even him, who has a fear of heights when he was up there, did completely and totally fine.
Let me just set this up, Jay, for people. So the movie, one of the scariest part of the movie to me is that first couple of minutes, that first sort of scene, after you start hatching a plan about how Nirvana is the band's going to do really well. If you land on
we're going to skydive off the CN Tower into the Sky Dome during a game and announce that we're playing a show at the Rivoli.
And the demand for the band will be so high that they'll have no choice but to let you play.
Exactly.
You sneak a pair of pliers and a parachute into the CN Tower, and then go on the skywalk. And for people who don't know, the skywalk is where you can actually walk out onto the sort of observation deck, like outside, and kind of hold on.
The edge walk.
The edge walk, Thank you. And then you snip the wires. And I have to say, that was like the moment where...
we cut the safety line.
That was the moment where I was the most terrified.
Yeah. It's a scary moment. That's for sure.
We were up there, and I was persevering through what I thought was a fear of heights. But the thing is that I'm glad that I did it, because they had us, after we shot what we needed to get up there, they did run us through all the regular, like leaning over and leaning back, and it was...
Yeah, it's fun. In fact,
you get through it, and then you feel really good afterwards. It's like a rush.
Weirdly, a lot of the things that we did, which were kind of archetypal Toronto, like go to the Sky Dome, go to the CN Tower, gave us a new appreciation for all these things. CN Tower's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, I know most Torontonians never been up, but you go up there and do this edge walk. It's actually quite a thrill. It's worth it.
Is there fear when you're coming through the security and there's you have the wire cutters in your bag, and they stop you and they do say, what are the wire cutters for? And, and you make a line, and you also have a parachute on your back, but they didn't even
acknowledge. It was so crazy. We couldn't believe that.
We were kind of prepared to we
thought we were going to get thrown out.
Yeah,
we thought that was never going to work.
But maybe that would be the scene.
Yeah,
we would
and
get
that we'd have to
thrown out
change
and find
the
another
script.
way in.
Oh, so the thought was that you were going to try and sneak pliers and a parachute onto the CN Tower.
And get stopped.
And there's your scene.
Bingo.
And then we would
go and do something else, because we knew we needed to get into the Sky Dome.
We'd shoot an alternative way in.
Yeah, but that's the way most of the movie comes together, is that we have a little plan, and then we go out and shoot it, and we sort of see how far out we'll get. And then if it goes one place, we follow it. And if it gets stopped, well, then we kind of start again. And so it's almost like ironing a shirt. You do a little bit at a time and then a little bit more. And so it's fun, because in some ways the story gets to write itself, but it's also very frustrating when we had to shoot this movie over a year and a half.
I was saying to the fellas before we got started that I could spend the whole time just asking you how you did things and whether these things were real. But
of course.
It's so much more than that. Like it's so much more than a series of stunts. It's not Jackass, you know. It's a film actually with a lot of heart. It's a film, I think, a lot about friendship between you two and it's just sort of friendship in general. So I kind of wanted to start there if we could.
Oh, sure.
Jay, can you talk about meeting Matt for the first time?
Yeah, I met Matt through his girlfriend who went to my high school, and she knew me as a wannabe film composer. And so she set me up with doing the music for Matt's very first student film that he was making at his high school.
And what was the vibe you got off of Jay right away?
Oh, I loved him. Thought he was so funny. He was older than me, and so I've always been
By 1 grade.
Yeah, but still, I come
That
from
meant a lot back then.
It means a lot. I come from a summer camp background. Like I went to camp my whole childhood, and counselors are not that much older than you, but they really do. They have a kind of mythical power because they're slightly older.
I also
and
had
that
a
stayed with me.
different sort of high school experience in
Big
you,
time.
right? Like I was part of this high school where it was very big, and there were a lot of big friend groups, and we would party and we would drink beer. And Matt came from a very small, more cozy board game playing.
I came from a school where all my friends were extremely concerned with academics,
Yeah.
and that was our entire focus.
So you were kind of cool. You were kind of
Yes.
Jay was kind of cool, playing in bands,
Absolutely.
being musical, drinking, and you were sort of a little nerdy.
I was the exact opposite, yeah. And my friend group, it was a real odd couple as a friendship. And I never hung out with Jay and his friends, and he never really hung out with me and my friends. It was just really the two of us, and we didn't live too far away from one another, which was really what was lucky, so that it was easy for us to hang out. But it's not like we hung out too much. Like we were close friends, but it's not like we were best friends.
When did you figure out that there might be a collaboration here? Like you might be able to do something together?
When we decided, we should actually do some creative work, is when I was graduating film school and he had come back from Berklee College of Music in Boston. And it was really Jay's idea. Jay wanted to get together and basically do something. What it was kind of unattributed, like whether it was a web series or try to make a movie or something. He wanted to move in together in downtown Toronto and try to figure out a project we could do together. And in very short order, that became the web series Nirvana, the band, the show.
It's interesting to me that you came back wanting to do a creative project like that. Like you didn't come back wanting to score. You didn't come back just score or just start gigging. You wanted to work on a sort of a creative project with Matt.
There was no real scoring in the web series either. Like I was also, like Matt and I got together, we realized we're both just camera lovers, and we love to get in front of the camera and get silly. Like we were both class clowns sort of thing. And so what was making it fun for me was that we would be able to kind of take our dynamic that we were kind of sort of budding and figuring out at the time, and he was just so funny. And I think we were doing this thing where I was on the piano and he would just sort of react to what I'm playing, and we were both such what do you call it, like media gluttons for like media stuff. I would play scores and I'd play video game scores, and when we realized we have so much in common with what our cultural references were with movies, and so we would just sort of channel all of these things and realize how much we had in common, and through that we would do it in such a silly way. It just became kind of addictive, and so I knew that there was something to it, and I'm not sure like what we were going to make from that, but I wanted to kind of net it and put something together.
And what was the origin of the idea that this was going to be a band that was trying to get a gig?
That's harder, like, because I had another girlfriend when Jay and I knew each other and were living together, named Catherine Mallinson, who had told me that Jay and I should make a web show. And these web shows were kind of new. And she said, you guys should make a web show where it's just you guys doing stuff, like whatever your thing is. She was very, very confident, that in a way that at the time it may seem silly, but I was so shy, especially about being on camera.
Really?
It was unbelievable.
With all love to you, like it's not a word I would describe
I know.
to you. Yeah.
I was so self-conscious and shy about being on camera. I was cast in one film in film school by my friend Nico Pereda, and it was the first time I'd ever seen myself on camera, and I got a lot of compliments for it. And that was in third year. And then Nirvana the band was really me like breaking through a big personal barrier of shyness in terms of showing myself on camera. And it was Catherine saying, oh, you guys should make a web series, that made me think, okay, yeah, we will do it. But the nuts and bolts of why a band, why they wanted to play this one show at this one place. It must have been stolen because all of our, like the building blocks of everything we were doing was stolen, but what it was stolen from, I don't know.
We have the clip from the first episode, right? Can we just play it over here?
Good evening, folks. What you're about to see is something you've never seen before. We are Nirvana the band, and you are about to be sent to the moon. And then I do my two-step, and this is just no talking, just like they just get to watch me move. Ah, ha. And women in the crowd are like, what the fuck is this? Who is this guy?
Oh my God. This is very painful for me to watch.
Is that so, really?
Oh, you have no idea.
But it's in the film, isn't it?
And then
Against
break down,
my bitter,
Talking about.
I fought so hard to get that out of the movie, and it was Kurt and Bobby, the editors, who more or less demanded that it be in.
Can you tell the audio, radio, listening audience what it was we just saw?
Yeah, we just watched the very first moment of Jay and I pretending to be these Nirvana the band characters that we ever shot, which wound up being the first moment of the web series that we released in 2007. And it's me acting ridiculous and Jay playing the piano. And I
like that song.
Yeah, it's a beautiful song. But I watched that and my skin like literally crawls.
Is it for that same reason? I mean, I can't really listen to anything I do either because all I can hear is the mistakes, and all I can do is judge my younger self. Is that the reason you can't really watch it?
Yeah, this has less to do with the mistakes and more. Or
like just judging my younger self, like
Yeah, I look at that person and I think I hate you.
Oh no!
I mean that, and it's not that I don't hate that. I can see. Here's the thing. I've gotten so much better at hiding my process, and this young guy has no idea what he's doing. And so I watch him and I think, you're such a hack. I cannot believe that you're trying so hard to be funny and you aren't doing any of the things you should be doing. And if I could do this so much better than you. But of course I can't.
Yeah.
There's nothing I can do.
Yeah.
So,
and if it wasn't for him, there wouldn't be, what I mean?
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
And I'm very acutely aware of the failure of my past self being what created me, and so I have to have a certain amount of tolerance for it, but it doesn't mean I need to enjoy watching it. And I don't watch any of my movies ever for any reason.
I mean, I totally understand you on that. Jay, how about you? What did you feel when you were watching that?
I love it. It just reminds me of what it was like when we were discovering those guys. Like, we had so much optimism and there were no wrong answers. We were shooting that and we had no plan. Like, our plan was that, okay, this will be episode 1 of our web series. Well, what happens? Well, we first just are jamming, and then we'll get a press package together and we'll drop it off at the Rivoli where we want to play. That's it. And so we just got a couple of guys that I knew from Ryerson to come over and just like film us. And we said, make it look kind of like The Office or Arrested Development, funny handheld things. And I love that stuff. It's so raw, so pure. It's like completely improv. Like, we don't do any, if you were to leave that camera on after we cut, we don't give each other direction or edit anything. We were just sort of in character, channeling something. And over time,
that's my big problem with it, is that we're not channeling something. I'm doing a brutal ersatz Steve Carell impression. And you, to your credit, are really being yourself. You come off as extremely natural. But
I think we knew generally the type of archetypes we were falling into. We knew that how we were going to kind of do our own sit, stand, bend game. But it was just us finding our footing, and because that was an era of like years where we were just chipping away at getting better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it started to take off. Like, I think so. Was that 2008?
No, that was 2006, 2007. So it was very early.
Yeah, I wasn't here yet. And I remember when I first came to Toronto, people were talking about it and people were sitting me down and showing it to me. And, when did it start to, when did you start to get the feeling that this was starting to pick up even within the city?
It was about 7 months after we made the first episode. We'd released the 4th episode of it. And it was the first time ever, I know Jay and I both remember it well, we left our apartment and someone recognized us and said, "Hey, Nirvana the band, the show." And we were both like, "What?"
We couldn't accept it. We said, "Do we know you?" And he's like, "Nope, just a fan." And we looked at each other, just a fan.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy for us.
What?
Because this is such a different time. Like, there wasn't even really a YouTube yet. I mean, YouTube existed, but it was a totally nascent platform. Like, there wasn't a place where you could go and watch things like this. We were releasing this on FLV, like we were encoding it to Flash and releasing it on our own website. And so the fact that people in Toronto were finding it that we didn't know was so gratifying. And really, that is the first moment that for me personally, I was like, oh, maybe I could do this the rest of my life. Because at this point, I was working at the Science Center. I wanted to become a professional Magic card player, if I'm being totally honest.
Right. Actually working on or doing a Magic card movie right now?
Yeah. And so it's funny how things have come full circle. But that's what I wanted. That's what I saw for myself. I thought I'd failed as a filmmaker because my film school experience, like I hadn't done anything really that significant. And it was the fact that people our own age were watching it and liking it, where I think both Jay and I were like, oh my God. It was very surreal, and I've kind of been on a high since that moment.
Did and of course you go on to, I mean, the last time you were here was for Blackberry, and we had a big talk about that. I really enjoyed that, and we talked a lot about like going from this sort of like more guerrilla style, like 30 people out in the middle of the street shooting something, to like a massive set and having a lot of funding behind you. And you sort of talked to me a little bit about the tension you were feeling around that of sort of like entering the institution a little bit, and then the film you did after Blackberry, you would have been forgiven for doing another Blackberry-ish movie or another bigger budget movie.
I think it was very expected. There was 90% of the calls I got were to make basically Blackberry 2.
Yeah.
Name it. Like, there was all kinds of, I was going to make a Hot Wheels movie. I was going to make movies about all kinds of stuff. I shouldn't say I was going to. This is the type of things that I was.
And you decided to come.
Right after the Berlin premiere, Jay and I talked. And I knew that Telefilm, who deserves huge credit for this movie, it's unbelievable what they let us do. They essentially said, within a certain budget, you can more or less do any movie you want to make.
But what I find interesting is that is less what you were allowed to do, but more like what you wanted to do.
Yeah, right. Of course.
Because you would have been, I would have understood if you had taken the cash or if you had taken the Hot Wheels or any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And going back to the idea that I had at the beginning about like, because I see this movie about sort of like friendship and fame, like going back to the idea of friendship, it's interesting that you went back to the thing, this pure thing that gave you your start.
Just like the characters do in the movie.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, of course.
I never even thought about that.
Yeah, but of course it must be true, because I think the reason that the film has any resonance is because Jay and I are not lying in this film. Like, we really are talking about our relationship and the things that deeply matter to us, and getting at a kind of truth that I don't even think we could name. And so it would make sense that I would have no choice but to be drawn back to this story because it animates me. And I get more out of a movie like this than I would say, going to move to the United States and make a movie that maybe from the outside seems so much more prestigious, etc., but is a lot like the victory that Jay wins in the film, which is, congratulations, you're the most famous musician in the world. You got everything that you wanted when you were in film school. Yeah. But it really is not all it's cracked up to be.
So I want to stay on that I want to come back to that for a second, this idea of like the dog that caught the car and fame in general. But Jay, it's worth mentioning the construct of the film and why Matt maybe had to have the original footage of Nirvana, the band, the show in it, which is that it's a time travel movie. It's a Back to the Future style movie. What do you prefer I say here?
No, it's a straight ripoff.
It's a straight ripoff of Back to the Future. So much so that you look into the camera and say,
you say, we're going to get sued by Bob Zemeckis.
What's the line you say? Like, if you're seeing
a copyright nightmare.
I said, if you're seeing this in theaters, count your lucky stars, because this is the only time it's ever going to screen.
Where did that idea come from to do a Back to the Future ripoff movie?
Well, we originally started this as a road trip movie.
Yeah, going across America, right?
Yeah, going straight south.
Yeah.
And so we got this big RV, and we had a whole script, where, the way our scripts work is like basically a one-page outline. And we went out and we traveled and we shot a bunch of scenes, and we were just checking back in with Kurt and Bobby, our trusted editors and kind of co-writers, and they were just kind of showing us what they were putting together, and we're like, it doesn't really feel big enough.
It felt like our TV show.
Yeah.
And what we've done is sort of effectively captured what our TV show did, and we all were feeling like, once we saw it in black and white, so to speak, we were like, we should just do something insane. Because it was like we gave ourselves permission to make a movie, but we didn't give ourselves permission to just do something completely insane.
Right.
And that's what that first shoot really did. It was like, okay, we can do this, but we're being given this opportunity. Why don't we just do something ridiculous?
I've always wanted to do ridiculous things with the Nirvana show, and this was just an opportunity to, like, it was in that sort of moment of doing a little recourse thing that I was certainly one of the first to start bringing up and taking that vulnerable moment and saying, why don't we go big? Why don't we do something like a Bill and Ted's thing or Back to the Future thing? And let's go big, guys. Let's jump off the CN Tower. Let's...
Yeah.
I got some wishes to come true.
Oh, you were sort of wishing, like, hey, let's jump off the CN Tower.
Even before the road trip movie, I was trying to muscle in a couple of the other more like high concept sci-fi versions. But it was in this moment that it finally came together, and then we started almost as a writing exercise, just figuring it out, and it came together so naturally and so quickly, and we just loved it so much, and we just stuck to that little outline that never changed 200 shooting days later.
A meaningful movie to you, Matt? Back to the Future?
Not as much as you'd think. I love the film, but it's not like it. I would not have said, "Oh, this is a seminal film for me."
Well, because also you were sort of late to getting into films anyway. Like I was reading that you were kind of like, it wasn't like you were in grade 4 watching Back to the Future and saying that's what I want.
No, not at all.
It was like grade 11, 12. You started kind of getting into film.
Yeah, I loved movies, but I loved movies from a character point of view.
Right.
If you'd asked me what I wanted to do when I was a kid, I'd be like, I want to grow up and be Robin Hood from the Disney movie.
Right.
I didn't really understand the construction of movies whatsoever.
So when did Back to the Future come in?
I mean, it was a movie that I would have liked, that my dad would have shown me. And I would have been like, oh, this movie's great. But it's not like, it didn't have a kind of possessing power over me where I was like, oh my God, I need to do this. Like, I didn't think I need to make movies because I like this film. It's just a movie that I thought was cool and liked. The fact that I think maybe there's going to be a false attribution in this movie where it's like, oh, Matt Johnson must really love Back to the Future.
Yeah, fair enough, right?
Which I do.
Yeah.
But I did not make this movie because I love Back to the Future.
Did you rewatch it and notice anything in it in order to make this film?
Yes, we tried to basically have as many beats in common as we possibly could.
Oh, give me an example.
Well, look,
Lightning striking the tower.
Those are the big benchmarks. But I'll get even deeper into the brilliance of Zemeckis' writing, and that is that nothing ever happens directly. And this, I was like, okay. So it's not that, there's a windstorm and that knocks the cable from the top of the clock tower over and Doc has to go down and get it. It's that when he, like at the end of our movie, right? Remember, there's a windstorm and it knocks the electrical cable between the CN Tower and Queen Street. It gets knocked out. That's not enough. When Doc gets it and runs to plug it in, now it's too short. So it's like problems need to compound on top of problems, so nothing is easy and the characters are always at a moment of maximum stress. That is completely ripped off of Zemeckis' writing, and it's something that never would have occurred to me. And it's so obvious, like I'm sure any screenwriters listening to this being like a duh, but I just don't understand that stuff. And so having Back to the Future as the scaffolding for which we could put our story around was hugely useful, because that's what led to these great moments, like me at Queen and Spadina trying to plug in the cable, and those French girls from France coming over and getting involved in the story. Like, those moments never could have happened if we hadn't made the time for the original narrative beat from Back to the Future to occur, right? It's the character is constantly struggling with something, no matter what it is, right? It should be easy, like just plug it in, but no, like the way the greats do it, like those truly great adventure movies, Indiana Jones is exactly the same, is that there's always a problem on a problem on a problem, and they're physical problems.
Yeah, just when you get to the part that should resolve it, there's a last thing.
Constantly. It's like a video game, yeah.
You mentioned that when people ask you how to describe the show, you sort of have a hard time doing it, and you say it's some sort of a buddy comedy. When I was reading back, a lot of the way, I think there was one quote I read that was like, we say it's kind of like Borat.
Yes.
That to me is, I mean, I don't want to editorialize too much here. It is different, and I think it's different in the way that you treat real people. So when I was going back to the early days of Nirvana, the band, the show, and for people who haven't seen it, they're non-actors. There's real people walking down the street of Toronto who are in it, and they're having natural reactions to it. I find the ethics around that really interesting. I find like the way different people do that really interesting. And Jay, an interview I read from you guys, I think it might have been like 2008, said, yeah, we talk about it a lot. It's a constant conversation between the two of you is how to treat real people in this thing. Maybe Jay, I'll start with you. Talk to me a little bit about how those conversations went, how they've evolved over the years, how you guys talk about involving real people in your work.
Well, it really started with how we were so in sync with how we were reactive to what we were getting on camera from the real people. Like, we went to shoot in the real world because we didn't have a film set, and we were just sort of exercising stuff. But when we started to see real people give us not a funny line, not something important, not getting angry, not getting worked up, but when they would just show us some real slice of life, of just a look of pure...
The confusion
of confusion, but if it was very honest and private, where they didn't know a camera was there, there's something that is just so beautiful and private about it that is funny. And it's not funny because it's a joke, but it made Matt and I both, when we looked at it back on the little laptop, we would howl laughing. And we knew we'd have to just use this one. It could even just be a look where the camera just zoomed in and somebody's just looking at us. It's like A+ acting. And then all of a sudden we realized we had the best scene partners to us. And that just became, from then on, this currency that we would see like across our whole Nirvana career. We would just see those moments as, you know, what was giving us the magic.
So how has it evolved over the years, Matt? Like the way you use real people, the thoughts you've had around using real people. I mean, it was sort of novel back then, you know, when...
Yeah, but you know what? We have to give credit where credit's due, and that's that we are in a continuum with Just for Laughs. And I know that seems ridiculous.
The JFL gags, yeah.
Yes, but we truly are. And I think that because we grew up in a generation that literally would watch that almost every single day, where you're seeing Quebec people, they're not being mocked in that show. They're kind of put in larger-than-life situations that are so ridiculous that they themselves are like, I can't believe this is happening to me. Sometimes maybe they're like 1% embarrassing, but the point of that show was not to show how stupid Canadians were. The point of that show, and the reason that I think it's a worldwide phenomenon, is that it's kind of a humans are awesome vibe, much more so than Tom Green or Borat like mocking people, right? It's some ways antithetical to the Nathan For You model, which is, can you believe what these people are willing to do and believe for a kind of, in Nathan's case, oftentimes for a taste of power,
deception.
Yeah, they're willing to truly,
or out of desperation, they want money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He kind of it is a kind of expose into human psychology of people at the margins who are really desperate for something. Whereas Just for Laughs was like people going about their day. There's a kind of beauty and poetry to them thinking that they're in an awkward situation. And that show for me was like, I would cry laughing. I couldn't believe how funny that was. And I think that we just wind up, because we grew up in it and it just seemed like no big deal. We thought, oh, and Jay and I never talked about this, by the way. We talked about Just for Laughs gags a lot, but we never talked about it as us being in the same playground as them. And so it was like, rather than having like a skit show with no dialogue where you're basically showing a visual joke that then people react to, we thought, well, we'll make a story. And the story is happening in the real world where people are reacting to that.
But was there a choice? Did you sit down with one another and go, okay, yeah, but we're going to be the butt of the joke?
Oh yeah, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Look. The ethos of it is, let's show people at their best. Because it's very rare to see people at their best. So much of reality TV, et cetera, is like, we're going to film people until they break. We're going to film people until they hit a boiling point, and then you get to see this kind of moment of extreme human emotion that's humiliating for the person. Maybe it turns them into a celebrity in the meme sense, but it's not them at their best. Like, you're kind of showing them.
It's exploitative.
I've become profoundly uncomfortable with that, and I actually find it very difficult to watch because that's not my experience of real life, and I don't think it's many people's experience of real life. I think that's why reality TV is so addictive. It's because you get to see something you don't normally see, right? What I see when I walk around in Toronto specifically is people who are unbelievably nice, who are willing to do just about anything for you, and any one of them, if you were to have an honest conversation with, would have so many idiosyncratic personality quirks that you'd be like, oh, this is the most interesting person I've ever spoken to. And so what we like to do is try to figure out the libertarian who works at Canadian Tire to me is a perfect example.
So can you guys tell that story? Because you're absolutely right. Can you explain to everybody who that is? Because I went in and I love all the love to the two of you when that scene started. Just honestly, I went, oh no, they're going to make fun of this poor guy. They're going to mock this poor tour guy.
Exactly.
I don't like this.
Well, he's a
I don't wanna watch
Southeast Asian
this.
immigrant
and
who's working at
a hardware store. And has
yep.
a political opinion that's probably different than theirs.
Bingo. And he speaks with an accent.
Yeah, they're going to mock this guy.
Exactly.
And it made me profoundly uncomfortable.
Well, and of course.
Yeah,
and why wouldn't you? I mean, that's in some ways bred in the bone of it. And yet, what you witness is...
Tell us about him.
Okay, so Jay and I go into Canadian Tire and we're looking for scissors, so to speak, that will help us cut the safety line that's going to harness us to the CN Tower. And of course, it's an absurd thing, but it's true. That's literally what we're doing. And so we go into this Canadian Tire and we tell him straight up what we're going to do. I do not mince my words. I say we need to cut the safety cable that the edge walk is going to keep us on because we need to skydive into the Sky Dome so that we can play the show at the Rivoli. And this guy takes a beat and he looks at us and then he does everything in his power to try to tell us whatever it is this show at the Rivoli is going to do for us, it's not worth it. Like, don't do it.
And if you're watching this and you're thinking, well, is this real? At that point, somebody comes down the hall and asks, where's, you got drywall compound?
Yeah.
Drywall compound, aisle 49.
And he helps him out. He helps him out.
Well, he's the manager. And so this guy,
and he says, I'm a libertarian.
He says you should be allowed to do this because you have the right to. I'm a libertarian. You can do whatever you want. But I think... And at this moment, we're friends. He says, but between the three of us, I think that you're going to die if you do this, so please don't. And it's such a perfect example of somebody having such a genuine human moment with us where he's taking us totally seriously and he's trying to save our life, but for real.
It's hard to act that stuff
It's
out
not hard. It's
to him
impossible.
because we're making a comedy. But we don't want to, the moment we go one step over the edge where we're a little bit too big or we say something that's kind of funny, somebody is just going to, like, people are smart. They're going to raise their eyebrow.
We realize that we're not real.
Yeah, but if you ride the line just enough, that's when he kind of bites and he realizes, oh, these guys really are trying to do this.
And
I'm going to try to help them.
It's up to me to save them. And as many times as we can have moments like that happen in any of our work, whether it's this or anything, that is the kind of stuff that, for me, movies can do that no other medium can do, which is you find a way to showcase somebody in a way that in their life, I don't know what this guy's going to do. At this moment, he's in Canada working as the manager as a Canadian Tire. And he may have a quiet life, a circle of friends that's maybe, 13, 14 people big. But there is a magic in this guy that and he expressed that to us. He really did try to save our life, even though it's absurd. It's crazy.
But he didn't think he was acting? He didn't think he was acting?
Of course
he thought
not.
He was saving some, he was trying to help some friends
and
out.
We also got to feature, at the end of the movie, the fact that he has this moment that narratively sort of ties things together in that sort of black and white flashback.
Right. Yeah.
It gives him cinema importance.
He's a movie star.
Right? It's not just this cold open interaction. He comes back and he is this main part of a memory that is needed for Matt to have this major moment. I don't want to say too much.
And he's coming to the world premiere.
I was going to say, he's coming to the film.
Oh, yeah. He's coming
you got in touch with him? You found him?
He's going to come on stage with us.
Oh, I love it. What's the hardest legal issue you had making this film?
It wouldn't be things that you'd think of, and I wonder. I'm trying to think of the most interesting, to be honest.
Maybe I'll put it this way: what's the most interesting anecdote you have? Around legal
that's more interesting, and
you're right, because if you say something like, well, the melody pattern of
right,
yeah, exactly. Okay.
That is a big problem. When we're recreating music, is trying to figure out things that musicologists will be like, that's far enough away.
Give me an example of a legal problem.
So obviously, because when you were shooting in public, we run into all kinds of can we be here? Are we allowed to film here? It's such a great area. And a city like Toronto, which although we're a kind of a film town, it's not like movie crews are out shooting in the street willy-nilly. That literally never happens. And so in terms of something that was a legal, oh man, are we crossing the line here?
Or are there going to be consequences for me?
Me jumping off of the streetcar with the parachute. That was I think really, really on the line. When I had to, remember when I skydive, I mean, this is a bit of a spoiler, but when I fly off the CN Tower and land on the streetcar and then jump off the streetcar and then run down Queen Street, that was one where we were like, well, we'll never get permission to do this. We may as well try. And we went out and tried to shoot it, but it was so complicated that we wound up shooting it for 5 hours on the night of the Taylor Swift concert.
Yeah.
And like at any moment we were like, if we get caught, like we're so dead, like we're dead, because I have no excuse. Like I'm jumping on and off of this streetcar over and over and over again. Yeah.
How do you bypass the fear, Jay, that most of us would?
Great question.
Because you're not psychopaths. You're very lovely, kind, generous people with friends and good reputations. Like, how do you? And sometimes when we talk about the people who make those other kinds of shows, I do have moments where I wonder, what is it like to look them in the eyes?
Yes, it's a bit scary.
It's really hard sometimes to keep eye contact with somebody who is sort of thinking that you.
No, but what about the fear, where it's like you and I are about to go do something crazy?
Yeah, tell me about that.
Well,
when have you felt fear doing this stuff?
I felt the most fear because I had to do so much driving of this RV, and I thought maybe, okay, well, this is a real movie. They'll be pulling us on a trailer. But I had to do all my own stunts.
Driving a massive RV.
But you're not just driving. It's like, okay, now I'm driving and I'm just manically figuring out a car chase. I'm pretending like I'm doing inserts for this car chase. And so I'm really driving fast in the city and looking over my shoulder. And Jared's next to me with the camera. He goes, okay, now look down at your phone. Okay, look down at your phone again. No, hold on a second. Okay.
And you're really driving.
And I'm really driving. He's like, hey, now look down at the time machine. Hold it. Wait, no, look down. Cheat a little more to me. A little more to me. I'm like, Jared? And then Matt's going, I see you. I see you. You're good. You're good. Keep going. Keep going. Okay.
Are you ever afraid of the, like, you don't seem to me like the type that would find it easy to go up to strangers and get them involved? Like, do you?
Funnily enough, like, I have no problem doing that. And I actually had tons of experience doing this before Matt did. Like, growing up, I was such a huge Tom Green fan and watching skate videos and CKY. And, like, I was out with really just one of my pals, and we loved the camera, and we were just doing Tom Green recreation things and doing very embarrassing things, putting ourselves out there where it really would show you how much of a class clown, fearless person I can be. But as I get older, it certainly has gone, that's kind of muted a bit.
Yeah.
But, what helps is that anytime that we're doing something, scary or dealing with real people, really the fallback is that, like, our characters are kind of nice people who are, innocent at heart. And so as long as, like, that's your fallback, things aren't really going to really turn upside down on you.
What is the trick to doing all of this without permits, without permission?
It's as simple as
improv.
Well, a lot of these things, if you just do them and you don't have bad intentions, I'm a strong believer in good intentions getting you 90% of the way there. Like what Jay just said, like, take that instance of us going to Drake's mansion when there was the shooting. Let's say that, we've snuck in there, obviously, and we're filming all this stuff. But let's just say that,
hey, you're shooting a movie, aren't you?
I would be like, yeah. And I'd introduce myself, and I'd say why we were doing it.
Solid role play there, guys. That was great, by the way. I appreciate that.
And
acting.
And as soon as they realize, these people don't have a bad intention, the absolute ceiling of the consequences for us, I mean, yeah, these are famous last words, would be, please don't do this, go away. And we'd be like, no problem.
Yeah, right.
We're like, Jay made this analogy before, but we're kind of like skateboarders. We're there and we're going to skate this area. And if we get thrown out, it's like, all right, we'll go to a different area.
So when you're in the background of Drake's press conference, if they had, if they're like, hey, what are you doing? Get out of here. You're going, all right.
They don't know exactly what we're doing, right? Like we're never doing anything that really feels like we're hiding something. We're not kind of looking over our shoulders. We're just doing it honestly and in the open. And so it buys us a lot of time, because before anyone decides, I'm going to go tell those guys to stop, they need to figure out what they're asking us to stop doing.
And devoid of context, it's very difficult to decode what's happening. Yeah. Because, you watch what we shoot, Jay 100 feet away running through a line of cars. Like, what is it?
It doesn't feel like
they
anything.
They don't realize, they're creating a reality where Jay has killed somebody, and this is a press conference about him, and he's the murderer, and we're all unwitting actors in this all of a sudden. Like, to get to that level,
they're not going to figure it out.
It's impossible. Like, there's so much plausible deniability behind this type of filming that it's almost it's almost impossible to get like caught red-handed, so to speak.
What do you love about it, though, Matt? What do you love about that risk? What do you love about it?
Yeah, I've always said, I say this to young filmmakers all the time, that there's a set of rules that we all have. Everybody knows them, right? Everybody knows the rules of what you can and can't do. But like any system, those rules are not definite. And if you flip those rules over, on the back of that same piece of paper is a map. And those rules, by definition, mean no one has done this before.
But that doesn't answer what you like about it, what you love about that feeling.
I guess it's because I know it's fresh soil. It's a place where I can do something that is uniquely my own. And I realize that I'm not talented in the traditional filmmaking way. Like, I don't see things in pictures. I don't have a great sense of moving a camera. I don't think in movies in the way that famous filmmakers do. But what I am very good at is the kind of social engineering that goes on to create projects like this. And so what attracts me to it is I have a competence at it. And two, I think it plays into a childhood desire I had to playfully deceive people, which I've always loved, in the way that a kid, like a 5-year-old, will take the cup that you have and hide it behind their back and smile at you. And it's like, well, like literally nothing has happened. It's the most juvenile, victimless crime. And yet to that 5-year-old, they feel like they've done something so naughty. And it gets to this Canadianism, which I hate to admit, but it's like, I love to break the rules in the safest possible way. So it's like I'm kind of a wuss, in real life. Like
you are climbing to the very top of the CN Tower, beyond the.
Yes, but I am doing it in the safest possible context where it seems really dangerous, and I can go ha 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 ha. Oh, they think it's so dangerous.
Oh yeah, you're taking the mug away.
If only, yes,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
In the same way that the little boy gets pleasure out of deceiving a parent, thinking that they actually did it. Of course, now you're an adult, you realize, oh, it's a moron.
I'm still not sure. I still feel like I'm still trying to figure out the top of the CN Tower.
Well,
the microphones go off in a second. I'll ask you again.
Sure.
Jay, last word to you. I was just thinking a little bit about when you were telling that story about coming outside your apartment and someone saying, hey, I know you guys. And all of a sudden you get recognized. And you're like, oh, wow, this thing is very meaningful to me. And Matt says, hey, this is the thing that makes me feel like maybe I can do this and maybe I can have this kind of career. This is sort of the maximum version of that. You're in Toronto at TIFF doing the big premiere. Everyone's very, very excited about that film for this thing you guys started making 17 years ago. I mean, just broadly, what does that mean to you?
It's so humbling, and it doesn't actually feel so real, right? We are just at home here, and we go to TIFF every year, and so it just kind of feels like they have allowed us to do this. It feels like, again, we've snuck this in, even though
the festival
officially
has wanted you to do it.
Yes.
Yeah, they're excited about it.
It still feels like we're kind of getting away with it. But yeah, oh my God, it really has been almost 20 years long of us doing this. And it feels very personal, and it feels very validating to sort of have given my, namesake to this project, and that it's still alive and not, revered as something bad, that it's still growing. It means a great deal. And I love the sort of growing amount of home pride that we have, and our love for Toronto that is like over the years of us living here and doing so much with the city, how it, it's a story now that is kind of attached to Nirvana, where it's like we keep getting told, oh, your movie's a love letter.
Yeah.
And the language it's a love letter. But I have to say, it truly is. Like, we really do love it here. And we've done a lot of traveling. And when we return home, it is the greatest feeling. And so we're so happy to be here. And tomorrow's going to be great.
Thanks to you both for being here.
It's such a pleasure speaking with you, Tom.
Thanks.
I love coming.
Thanks for coming in.
Right
I really love the movie.
Thank you.